Oh, hello there. Are you lost, friend, or just wandering? You look as if maybe you're a bit unsure. Are you hungry? There's some food in the pack there. Help yourself. No, really. Go on. I don't mind. Plenty more where that came from. Have a seat, would you? Wow. You must have been pretty hungry. Go on. Eat as much as you like. Don't be ridiculous. I'm not out here fishing for rocks. There's always more where that came from. The land has a way of providing. It always has, and it always will. You can find everything you need if you know where to look. Have you done a lot of fishing? Shame. There's a real wonder to it, fishing. I learned it from my father. He taught me everything I know about working the land. He taught me where to look and when not to. My father was a good man, a land man. He learned everything he knew from his father, and his father learned it all from his father, and so on back down the line for generations. It's a legacy thing, I guess you could say. A lot of families, they have trinkets, gems, or weapons, or artifacts. Tokens as big or as small as they would be. But my forefathers put much more stock into things that couldn't be held. Material objects, eventually, like the stones on the riverbed, really erode. You can hold the rock and pass it on and on, but in the end, it will always be weathered into nothing. The river, however, will always flow. You cannot keep it, or hold it, or pass it to your children, but it will be there, ever flowing, ever changing, ever raging, always crisp and clean, crawling down from the mountains. Perhaps that means very little to you. Perhaps it means nothing at all. Just the ramblings of a sun-licked stranger. But you're eating my food, so the least you can do is pretend to listen. I've been out here all day. I'm out here most days, really. I mostly just catch for myself. Sometimes I'll take some into town for a bit of coin, but I'm not a businesswoman, and I'm not particularly interested in coins. Just enough to get by, no more. A good way to live, only taking what you need. It's hard for some living on the bare minimum, especially if you're not used to it. I've never been accustomed to riches. In fact, eccentrics make me rather uncomfortable. But I think everyone should, at some point, go through life with only the necessities. It gives you a deeper appreciation for things and a grander respect. Some try it and decide they like it. Some hate it. Some wouldn't even entertain the thought. That's all right. I'm not here to badger anyone for the way they choose to live their life. I just wish that sometimes more people had. more respect for the world around them. Unfortunately, sometimes people lose sight of that, especially when they're too busy waging a war. War is a very unfortunate thing indeed. The land is ravished and burned, and so too are the people fighting in it. Some it happens to their bodies, some to their minds, and some, poor souls, it happens to both. No, I do not choose a side. I never have. War is war, and the only other side to war is peace. I'll take peace any day. Don't speak to me of peace through violence. Peace through violence is not a true peace, and it certainly isn't one that ever lasts. As I understand it, this war is about who rightfully belongs here on the land of Skyrim. Well, I think the fault in that and the fault in people is that they believe they have any right to the land at all. The land is gracious in allowing you to exist on its soil, to breathe its air. The land provides for all life, undiscriminatingly, unconventionally. If you can repay it back with nothing but slaughter and fire and ash, then perhaps you do not deserve its kindness. Yet even if you do not, it will still be there, providing, giving, for as long as it is able. People, I think, could learn something from that. Imagine if we decided to care for each other, care for the land, and allow ourselves to be humbled by the beauty and the majesty of our world. Think of what a life that would be. I would gamble to say there would be no more war, no more hate or violence. But I am just a fisherman and an idealist. I cannot speak to you of reality, but I know this vision will not come to pass, at least not for a very long time. So, until then, I'll continue to fish, and I shall teach my daughters and my sons, and their daughters and their sons the same. You seem lost in your thoughts, friend. Is it the war on your mind? I see. Well, people like you have a tendency to cross my path. I have always welcomed them to eat my food, sit on my rock, and listen to my rambles. I haven't much more than that to offer. But the thing all these strangers seem to always have in common is that they are running. Either running from something or towards it. So, what about you? Are you running from or running to? It almost appears that you don't even know for sure yourself. I have a wild idea that I'd like to pitch to you. Now just hear me out. But have you ever, perhaps, considered not running, maybe not even moving. Have you ever thought, once in your life, to pause? Perhaps sit on a rock on the riverbed with an old fisherman throwing the line into the water, just sitting there, listening to the rush of the stream, the hum of the insects and the chirp of the birds, and smell the moss and the pines, and breathe fresh air. Maybe get yourself a fresh mind, a fresh perspective. Because I think until you do, you're going to continue to struggle with the same old problems. Take a breath, friend. Take a pause and cast a line.